Anthropic has just released Opus 4.7 and I'm more than excited to tell you everything you need to know about this upgrade and how it affects your work with Claude Code. I am particularly hyped about this update for two main reasons and I'm going to tell you both of them right now. And if you don't know me yet, my name is Serdar BC. I'm the CEO and founder of OmniFusion AI, and my mission on this channel is to show you exactly how to use Claude Code and the technology we have in our hands to automate every part of your business without knowing how to code or without being a developer at all. One of the reasons of why I'm so hyped about this new release is because Opus 4.6 was getting retarded in the past couple of weeks. You have probably seen the comments, the posts, and all of this noise around Opus 4.6 becoming more stupid, thinking less, making more mistakes in the past couple of weeks. And this was really something that affected me and my work heavily while being inside of Claude Code and trying to trust 4.6. It went that far that I could not trust it with complex tasks anymore in the past couple of days. But now that 4.7 is released, all of this retardation is gone and we have the additional benefits of the improvements that 4.7 brings with it, and that's exactly what I'm going to show you right now. This is the official Anthropic announcement for Opus 4.7. As you can see, Opus 4.7 has just been around for around 12 hours, and I will quickly go through all the improvements that you can expect while using Opus 4.7, especially while using Claude Code or Claude Cowork. And first I want to mention that Opus 4.7 is available right now for everyone. If you cannot see the upgrade in your Claude Code CLI, or if you cannot see the update in the extension in Cursor or VS Code or whatever you use, simply type into your Claude Code, "I know that Opus 4.7 exists, go ahead and install it on my machine." As you can see, Opus 4.7 is better in nearly every single regard compared to Opus 4.6. It's still worse than the Claude Mythos preview. However, they're not releasing this because they think it's too dangerous to release it to the public, which I somewhat agree seeing these numbers. However, Opus 4.7 brings us the closest we have ever been to the numbers of Mythos preview. As you can see, it improved extremely in agentic coding, in agentic terminal coding, and in multidisciplinary reasoning. And this is usually what people mean with it's getting retarded, or AI is becoming stupid, or the quality is degrading if the reasoning is not good enough anymore. However, now we can see that the reasoning of Opus 4.7 is around 15 to 20% better than Opus 4.6 in its best days. So we have to take into consideration that Anthropic is comparing Opus 4.7 to 4.6 in its best days. And seeing this boost and improvement is not a small thing. So you will feel this with every single thing you do inside of Claude Code. I was using this heavily for the past 12 hours. You might see that I didn't sleep a lot, and I can confirm that it's way smarter and way better at reasoning, and most importantly, way better in instruction following. So it actually does what you tell it to do. The next thing that I'm extremely hyped about is the visual reasoning. The quality of images that Opus 4.7 can analyze has become 3 times higher than what Opus 4.6 has provided. And as you can see here, the visual reasoning went from lower than 70% without tools to 82%, which is a huge jump. This means everything that needs Claude to look at images, pictures, or visuals will become better by default. And this is usually what we call intelligence. Does it do what we tell it to do? And Opus 4.7 is substantially better at following instructions, which also means that you need to change your prompts slightly, because now it's actually going to take everything you say super serious and going to do it. If you're unsure about something, you should just tell it inside of the prompt to validate if that makes sense, and then go ahead and execute it. Otherwise, it's probably just going to go and follow the instruction and execute exactly what you said. And the next thing, as I just said, improved multi-model support. Opus 4.7 has better vision for high-resolution images. It can accept images with more than 3 times as many pixels as Claude Opus 4.6 could. This helps with analyzing images, seeing something visually, but also creating websites, bug fixing things on visual pages, creating designs, and so on. This will be helpful in so many different ways where you need to have a pixel perfect result. And the next thing I'm super hyped about is the memory. Opus 4.7 is better at using file system based memory. It remembers important nodes across long, multi-session work and uses them to move on to new tasks that as a result need less upfront context. While using Opus 4.6, I was usually stopping the conversation when it reached 20-25% of its context window using the 1 million context. So that means when I reach 250,000 tokens in a conversation, I usually handed it over into a fresh conversation because that's where I saw the quality being the best. Now I've tried it out and I can say that even being on 40, 45 or 50% of context window, which means 500,000 tokens, which is a long ass conversation, Opus 4.7 is still not degrading quality as much as Opus 4.6 did. This means you can work longer in a single chat, in a single conversation without compressing or handing over to a new chat, which is extremely important, especially if you have long running tasks. Sometimes I have implementation tasks that go 15 or 20 steps and I run them overnight so I can use the time the best and it can run for a couple hours. Having this in mind, knowing that it can now use 500,000 tokens in a single conversation without becoming stupid is an extreme improvement over the last model. And here we have a couple examples where you can see Opus 4.7 and Opus 4.6 side by side. A few things that I want to highlight is the visual navigation. As you can see, Opus 4.7 with high resolution goes up to 87.6%, whereas Opus 4.6 in low resolution was between 57 and 83%. These numbers might not look like a crazy jump, but also keep in mind that the quality of the images can now be 3 times higher. This means that the quality of detail will be 10, 20 times better overall while using and working with visual context and input. The next thing is the long context reasoning became so much better comparing Opus 4.7 to Opus 4.6, especially if we compare subagents, which went from 41% to 58% long context reasoning scores, which is a huge leap. That's a 30-40% improvement just with a model upgrade, which is crazy. The long-term coherence improved a lot between Opus 4.7 and Opus 4.6. This is exactly what's going to help us to continue have long tasks and long works without it becoming stupid. And obviously, coding became way better in Opus 4.7 compared to Opus 4.6. And keep in mind, these numbers are the best numbers when Opus 4.6 was not degrading. So I would say this went down to 70, and having that in mind, going to 80% accuracy right now is insane. So I can't wait to build more stuff with 4.7 after I'm done with this video. A couple more things to mention here is that there is new effort controls in Opus 4.7, and this is super important, and I'll show you exactly why. You can see it on this chart. Before we had effort control of low, medium, high and max. I was always running on max because I want the best possible output and I don't care about token cost and time or speed. So I want the best result. I don't necessarily want the fastest result. I want the best result to have less back and forth. However, now we have new settings which have low, medium and high as before, but now we have X high and max. And as you can see, the jump for token cost as well as time needed between extra high and max is substantial. I'm still running everything on max, but I'm pretty sure that extra high is enough for most of the tasks. Extra high is already way better than max was before. Max was around 61-62% of accuracy score, and extra high has a 71 or 72% score in here, which means it's around 10% better than max was before. So I think this will be enough for most of the tasks. However, if you do not care about token usage and the time it needs, I would always suggest going with max. However, for the average user, for the average task, extra high should be more than enough, and it's really good to have something between high and max now, which we can use if something is more urgent or if something just needs to happen faster. On top of it, all max users also have access to the auto mode now. Auto mode is something in between edit automatically and skip all permissions. I regularly run my Claude code on bypass permission mode. However, if you don't feel super safe using bypass permission mode all the time, you can now use the auto mode where Claude decides itself if it edits automatically or if it bypasses permission and when to ask you for permission. However, I don't want to be disturbed while working with it. My whole setup is extremely secure and made in a way that it can bypass permission. So for me, this is not a big win, but for everyone out there who was fearful about the bypass permission mode, this might be a game changer because now you can use auto mode and get prompted way less about giving permission for random stuff than before. However, if there's some privacy or security related permission, Claude is still going to ask you using the auto mode that is now available for all max users as well. It's still not available for pro users, but if you are a max user on the 5x or 20x plan, you will have access to auto mode right now. now. So overall, Claude Opus 4.7 is a huge improvement over Claude Opus 4.6. And now the advantage to ChatGPT and Gemini has become even bigger, and I can't wait for 5.0, probably Mythos, to launch anytime soon, because this is probably gonna change how we work with Claude in its entirety. And to sum everything up, Claude Opus 4.7 holds context better over long conversations and complex tasks, recovers from errors more reliably and faster, and remembers more across sessions so you can prompt less and get more. It also comes with high quality image support and a better design taste, which means it will create more beautiful UIs, UX, platform designs, websites, landing pages, visuals, graphics, PDFs, posts, whatever you're using it for, it will become better just by using the newest model. And if you like this video, please leave a like. It costs you nothing, but it helps me a lot. Subscribe to this channel if you want to learn more on how to use Claude Code the best as a non-coding CEO. And if you want to get started with Claude Code and want to learn 90% of all of it in one single video explained by a non-developer, click this video next and watch my full tutorial right now. Other than that, I hope you learned something new as always. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.